This is the 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe, and I'm here to tell you why I think this is one of the best family cars on sale right now and why you should go right ahead and buy one. So here we go then, welcome to the new Hyundai Santa Fe. Now these start from around £47,000 here in the UK and go up to about £59,000 depending on the spec that you go for. The one you see here today is the top end calligraphy model, so this is the biggest and best one that you can get. This one is in 7-seat configuration. They all come with a 1.6 litre turbo, this one being the full hybrid, 212 horsepower, either available in front wheel drive or all wheel drive, under 10 seconds to 60 mile an hour, and a quoted 40 miles per gallon, which I've actually been achieving, which has been good. And there's also a plug-in version, and the plug-in version gets around 30 miles of electric range, 250 brake horsepower, but not much faster at all. So your mileage may vary there, but unfortunately no diesel or full electric options with the new Santa Fe. But to be honest, I think that this one does the trick just fine. So a quick rundown of trims and specifications. They all come with dual 12.3 inch displays and a 6.6 inch climate display, 20 inch alloys and electric tailgate as standard, and lots of safety tech including highway driving assist on a single touch button on the steering wheel. The ultimate trim I think is the one to go for. It's the middle spec, comes with leather, sunroof, Bose audio and a head-up display. And this one that you see here is the calligraphy model, which comes with Napa leather, relaxation full recline seats, C-pillar assist, and also a UV charging bay which has kind of cleansing properties, which is a bit of a gimmick, but we'll get onto that. I think this looks absolutely fantastic. You can see these H headlights here. These transition into the indicators and also the hazards when you change them as well, which I think looks really, really cool. It looks so imposing on the road, and just look at this. It looks so good. I think the previous generations of these look a little bit naff, to be honest, and they've never been the most desirable cars, even though they are practical and decent value. But this one, on the side profile, it just looks like an old Discovery, which I really like. I really like that boxy pattern, kind of like design to it, and I think it makes for such a practical cargo area as well. You have to excuse, it's quite filthy at the moment, this one, but yeah, you can see it's had some good use. And the back here, I think, is kind of where it lets it down, unfortunately. So the back has got this kind of really squared off design, and it looks like they kind of just got to the back and didn't quite know what to do. And that seems to be the general consensus of people who are kind of looking at it, is that they're not sure what the kind of design elements ended up with in this situation. It's quite an odd choice, I think, the way they've done the back. But the one good thing is, though, is it does make it extremely practical. If I come over to this side and kind of show you the side profile, you can see in terms of the cargo area, it really is super squared off, which makes it nice and practical in the back, which we'll get onto. But yeah, very striking in this kind of terracotta orange, and in the calligraphy trim it comes with these black wheels as well, and the black accents just look really, really good. And also a few other features on the exterior as well, such as in the C-pillar you've got these kind of grab handles which you can use to step up on the wheel, which I'll demonstrate as well. I think it just looks like it absolutely dominates the road, and it's a massive step in the right direction for their design. I'd love to know what you think of it, but yeah, I absolutely love it. And I think especially in these bold colours, they also offer it completely blacked out, which looks really good, and also like a stone grey. So there's lots of modern colours to choose from, which I encourage you to have a little look on the configurator to check out for yourself. But first of all, let's hop inside the car and see what it's all about inside. And also, I think that this is one of the best interiors on offer at the moment in the family car segment. This one as well, being the calligraphy, it has the full relaxation seat, so you've got some adjustment here, and this button will do full recline, and also it will enable you to extend this front leg rest as well, which is really, really nice. Overall, the quality in here is fantastic, I've got to be honest with you. And even these chunky doors, I think the black interior is a little boring. I do prefer the kind of the cream and the kind of the wooden finishes that they have and things like that. But overall quality is really great. You've got a big chunky door handle here that you can grab onto to shut the door. And also the electric windows are so silent in operation. Like, this is kind of like Lexus quality stuff here, which is really, really nice. So let's head on in and see what we've got in here. You've also got a massive kind of storage area underneath the center console with your power outlet there, which is 180 watts, which is really good for charging. And overall, the seats are quite plush and they have lots and lots of adjustments. These ones have a calligraphy tag on as well, which is cool. You can see all the lumbar adjustment and all that in there as well. Now when you get inside, it is kind of, I would say, a little bit BMW in terms of layout. So you've got two 12.3 inch displays as standard across the range, and you also got this, I think it's 6.6 inch display for the climate controls, which actually does work pretty well. I do find it a little bit annoying to use on the move. I've kind of been trying to get the heated wheel button, and you kind of like, as you're driving along, your fingers going like this, and I just want to press this button here, and it can be a little bit fiddly to find, but really not the end of the world, especially when you've got manual adjustment for the kind of main climate and a one-touch automatic button as well. That's kind of all you can ask for, really. I love the fact that it's on this slope as well. It makes it really practical to use. Now looking at it from my POV, this is kind of what you see as you're driving along, and overall I think it's quite a nice layout. This steering wheel is really nice. It really reminds me of like the Range Rover stuff. You've got the 4 dots along there, which is the Morse code for H, and big chunky wheel. I think this one as well, the reason it's kind of stitched this way is because it's got capacitive sensors in. So if you're using the fantastic one-touch driving assist feature on the highway, when you press that, the car will automatically steer itself, which is absolutely fantastic. And it just uses a capacitive sensor in here so that you don't need to constantly make little inputs for it to know that you're still in control. This flickering you see here is an infrared sensor, which will basically detect whether you're looking at the road or not, or whether you're falling asleep, eyes shut, that kind of thing. So that's another safety thing, which is really cool. And this display here, it's kind of exactly what you'd expect. You can kind of change the drive modes, and the drive mode will influence exactly what's on the display in terms of like the layout and stuff like that. But not massively so. It just kind of changes what you can see on the right side. You still get a tachometer regardless, and it will tell you whether you're in full EV mode or not. But you've also got your range on there, and you've got a few little bits you can go through. You can see engine temperature, you can see tyre pressure, your trip computer and stuff like that, what's going on with the hybrid system. Overall, I've been averaging around 38 mpg in this car, which I think is not too bad for a car of this sort of weight. And I do like this sort of BMW style screen where it all blends into one. You can see there's kind of a gap between the two displays, but it looks very seamless, which is nice. And this infotainment is super fluid. I love all of the graphics that Hyundai put in these. And it just works really well. You've got things like voice memos, so if you need to quickly kind of make note of something, you can use that. You've also got in your settings here, you've got all of your stuff to do with your sound, so it's got a Bose sound system in this one. And yeah, overall it just works really well. You've got all of your adjustments there. Go back to the home screen, and also you've got kind of modes like you've got the valet mode. You've also got a mode where you can it's like a quiet mode where you can put it in so that it cuts out the rear speakers. It will automatically close off the climate vents in a tunnel, which is really useful. And yeah, overall just super nice and intuitive. This is also a really nice space down here. You've got all of your USB-C charging, and you've got 2 wireless charging pads with little cutouts for your cables, which is great. You've got 2 cup holders here, you've got cup holders in the doors, you've got a massive storage area in the middle here, which is nice. And you've also got a glove box, which is not huge, but it's an okay size, and also a little tray just above the glove box there to put some documents in. Also, being the calligraphy, you've got this UV charging thing here, so you press that, and then in this little cubby up here there's a little tray for your phones, and it uses UV light to clean the phones, which is a bit of a gimmick, I think, but pretty cool feature to have nonetheless. Overall though, really nice place to sit, really nice quality. Everything is really nice to touch. Even this section here is padded, nice against your knee, which is really good. And the driving position, fantastic for me. I can rest my elbows just fine. And also plenty of access to all of the controls here. Your gear select is just under here on a little stalk. It's kind of hard to see from where I'm sitting, but yeah, you just twist it whichever direction you want to use it, so, and then press in at the end, and it is very intuitive to use. I don't have any qualms with it at all. It just kind of sits back there, and yeah, you turn it and press the button when you need to press the button, and I think it's a really good quick way of interacting with it. So when you turn the car on properly, you've also got your indicator blind spot monitors, so you can see as I indicate, it will come up on the dash there with my blind spot cameras, which works really super well. And overall, nice quality metal paddles on the back for your gear shifts. Not that I've been using them much, but I would say overall comfort and refinement in the front is great. And you've got some LED accents along the dashboard, which I will show you a night shot of as well, which really make a nice difference to the ambient light. And that is also affected by your drive mode. When you change drive modes, it automatically does that. When you press your parking cameras, you've also got a nice 360 parking cam. It is very effective, and you can see you can get a full 360 mode on there as well, which is really good. It shows everything with great detail, and you can see here the road that I'm on. It's so easy to see. These are actually lines painted, by the way. It's not a ghosting effect of the camera, that is actually just the way the spaces are here. But yeah, it works really great. And like I say, so much storage area up here. Even these seats, you've got adjustment here, so if I want to move this seat forward or backwards and that kind of thing. And on this calligraphy model, you also do have a sunroof, which is a dual sunroof. That one's got an electric sunshade back there too. I also love on Kias, when you change anything on the stalks, it comes up on the dash showing you what you're doing. So if you're doing it in the dark, it makes a lot more sense. It's just really little things like that Hyundais and Kias do so well. And yeah, I just really like the software that they use and the way they lay everything out. So I can't say I'm not impressed with that at all. Overall, I think it's just really solid. I do think it's boring in this black color, but overall it's just a really nice functional space. The tech all works fantastically, and also I think the storage cubbies are super useful. Stepping into the back, we've got loads of adjustment in these seats. These have a recline feature, and also you can press one button to move them forward to gain access to the third row. And you've got a pretty flat floor back here as well, which is really nice, but no rear climate control vents, although there is some in the back, which is kind of odd. There is, however, though, instead of climate controls, a storage bin down here, and it is literally, I guess, a bin, which is probably handy if you've got kids in the back. You can just get them to chuck their rubbish in there and just empty it out periodically. But overall, a nice chunky rugged design. Yet again, you've got adjustment in the headrests and the backs there, and 2 cup holders in the back, and heated rear seats in this model too, so plenty to use back here. And you've also got your sunshades, which are manual, nice to have in the back. Everything just feels like a really good quality, and you do have vents back here. You just can't control them using a central display or anything like that. But overall, nice place to be, nice place to sit, and easy to adjust. One thing that I don't like is that this parcel shelf, that is its kind of furthest back position. So there is actually, even with these rear seats down, there's a gap here, which is a little bit odd, but it's something that I don't think would bother you that much, to be honest. Loads and loads of headroom back here for me. I'm 6 foot, and look at all this space. It's absolutely cavernous back here. I think you could probably fit 3 adults quite comfortably. And overall, I've got some support as well. Like, I can adjust my recline on my seat, and I can get this really far back actually, and pretty much recline, which is nice. You can see the difference between my seat and the one next to me. I'm really sitting back now, and the thigh support, whilst not the best at all, I do have adjustment in the seat. I can move the seat right the way forward if I need to give more space to the back row. And yeah, overall not too bad at all. Rear hatch opened, and show you the cargo area. Now you've got an electric tailgate as standard across the whole range, which is nice. And then you've got this kind of little false floor here, which has got your tyre kit in there and that kind of thing. So a little bit of underfloor space there, and a nice flat load lip, so easy to load these as well. Now I'm going to just take out the cargo cover quickly, which is quite easy. Just literally pull on it like that. It's going to be a bit awkward to get out of this space that I've got, but that's fine. There we go. Let's get that out and just pop that on the floor for the moment. So it's out of the way, and then you can see how easy it is to move these rear seats down. You literally just pull and push, and then the same on the other side. Just pull the tab and you can push them right down. So you've then got quite a nice cavernous area there as well. And also you can then go forward, and you've actually got buttons here to lower the second row. So I can do the left one here, and it will completely flatten that, and you can do the same for the right there. And you can see that with both of these flattened, it is a really large space. At 6 foot, I could comfortably sleep back here. It is really that large. Back here, your Bose subwoofer, and you've got lots of power outlets, USB-C. You've got control for your rear AC as well, which is nice, and you've actually got a sort of proper outlet back here as well. And then obviously your controls, there's hooks, there's quite a few practical tie down points as well. You've got ISOFIX for your child seats. Overall, a super practical space, and also one of the biggest in its class as well. And I think that's really helped again by this odd design, because look at how flat that door is there. You can really fit large boxes and suitcases in right up to this very point. So with the seat in the fully push forward position, it does give you a bit more space for that third row. So I'm going to go around now and see how I fit as a 6 foot adult in the third row seats. Now, this is never really very practical, to be honest, but we can certainly try. Now, let's hop in gracefully, and there we go. So with that seat in its kind of most forward position, I do just about have enough space back here to sit, but you can see that the angle is not practical for a long journey, but kids probably be fine back here. You've also got more cup holders in the center there. So in addition to two there, you've got two there, two in that door, you've got two up the front, another one in the door, another one in that door, and there's also two in the back as well. They're just everywhere. So we're out on the road now in the Santa Fe, and I've got to be honest, I'm really impressed overall. I think the ride is just right. Like, it's not too soft, but it's definitely not firm over bumps. It really does a great job of absorbing all the imperfections in the road. Tyre noise, there's a little bit of a rumble, but overall wind noise is pretty good. It's quite well insulated in here, and when you've got the stereo on, it doesn't matter too much anyway. So in terms of stereo, you've got Bose, and it isn't the best system I've ever heard, but it is pretty good. And overall, I think the quality, fit and finish, driving position, I've got a nice position here. I've got loads and loads of adjustment in this seat, and this is one of the better seats I've sat in this class. And like I said, big, massive, chunky place for my arm here, massive center armrest, kind of American style, big center console, which I like. I can really just chill out, and this relaxation seat does recline all the way when you're stationary as well. Overall, I'm in sport mode at the moment, so you hear more of the engine, and you can take over control of the gears with the paddles, but it's kind of unresponsive, and I just wouldn't really feel the need to anyway. Most of the time, unless I'm using a terrain mode, I just pop it down into Eco, which does the job just fine. So when it comes to things like actual driving aids, you've got front collision assist, and you've got adaptive cruise control as standard across the range, and the one-touch driving button on the steering wheel I love in all of these Hyundais, Kias. You just press it. Even in the lower end cars, it works super well. You just press it, and on the highway, motorway, it just steers automatically, keeps you in lane for you, and it's got capacitive sensors on the wheel, so when you've got a hand on the wheel, it knows that you're still in control of the car. I've got plenty of space for my legs to stretch out at 6 foot. This is an ideal driving position for me. And when you're looking out over the bonnet, even though this is a big car, because of its kind of really squared off nature, it works really well when it comes to actually you know, looking at the parking aspect of it. The 360 cam helps massively with that, with a top-down view, but also just kind of overall how boxy this is. I can really see the corners really easily, so it doesn't feel too wide, even though it is quite a big car. And overall, it's just easy to place on the road. Most of the time when you're just cruising along, it is quiet and natural. The economy's been pretty good too. It's been sort of 38, 39 mpg for the majority of my usage, and filling up with about 100 quid worth of fuel, you're looking at a range of sort of 550 to 600 miles if driven carefully, so nothing to be sniffed at all, especially if you're not looking for an EV just yet. In terms of the rivals of this car, of course you've got its sister car, the Kia Sorento, and I do think that this one is better, full stop, to be honest with you. They're priced very similarly, and I think this is just a more complete package and looks a lot nicer on the road. You've also got cheaper alternatives like Skoda Kodiaq, which isn't quite as good and isn't quite as spacious, and you've got more expensive cars like the Volvo XC90 and the Land Rover Discovery. But I don't really think the premium for those cars is worth it when you consider this has got a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty and loads of really reliable tech inside. Personally, I think the middle of the range is where to go for the ultimate trim, and I also think the self-charging hybrids, like the full hybrid, is probably the way to go as well, just because personally I'm not a massive plug-in hybrid fan. I think it's a very niche use case for those. You know, either you're a business user, you need the benefit in kind, or it's because you do mainly around town and you want to get like crazy economy figures because you're just pottering into the shops and back. But for day-to-day driving, I think the full hybrid is economical enough considering the size and weight of this car, and also provides a nice driving experience because round town it sets off in EV when it can, and right now we're coasting in EV mode, so it's nice and quiet. And then the engine kicks in when it needs to, and it's only when you're really pressing on that it starts to sound a little bit strained, and that's the only downside, is the kind of overtaking capability on the motorway. You know, it does feel like if you were in a really kind of precious moment, you need to really floor it and get out of a sticky situation, it's not very quick to respond in those situations. Even from a standstill, it's not the quickest off the line because it just hesitates slightly whilst it figures out what it wants to do with the hybrid system. I've got to say though, even though the steering and handling is relatively kind of sort of light and floaty, you do have confidence in it. There's not an awful lot of texture through the wheel, but you'd expect a sort of car of this size and stature to be really kind of like lots of body roll and stuff like that, but actually it's not too bad, and the brakes aren't too bad either. You do get that kind of squishy regen effect if you really press on, but overall I think if you get used to them, it's not actually too bad at all. I'm going to kind of fling it around here now. So it doesn't even want to understeer really. It feels so planted, and even kind of chucking it into a corner, yes, there's a bit of delay from the chassis because it's such a big car, but it doesn't feel out of place when you're throwing this down a country road at all. And yeah, I don't know, there's something about this. It's not quite as sort of floaty and barge-like as I expected, and that really suits the kind of dominating look of this car on the road, I think. And actually makes it quite a pleasant experience to drive, even if you're kind of a bit of a petrol head like myself. No, it's not sporty in any way, and yes, you are going to get some firmer rivals which provide you with a little bit more feedback on the road, but overall I think you wouldn't be too displeased with this as a daily driver at all. And I think actually it's the perfect balance in my opinion, and having lived with it for the last week or so, I think that actually this is probably one of the best, if not the best car in this segment, and I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it in the slightest, as long as you're not willing to go full EV just yet. And if you are, I think maybe the Kia EV9 is where to look. Of course, there's lots of other rivals as well, but I think that is the one that's going to compare to this kind of most similarly, whilst providing that full EV experience. And yes, there's no diesel option with this, but you know, that's probably going to benefit you in the long term. And yes, a diesel will be slightly more efficient, but it's probably not going to be anywhere near as smooth or as quiet to live with day to day. So I think the compromise that you make here isn't really too drastic at all. And overall, I think it's just been such a pleasant experience to live with, and there's pretty much nothing I can fault it on. The only thing from a driving perspective sitting here right now that winds me up about the ergonomics is the fact that some of the climate controls are touchscreen, and I have to really focus on them to reach over. Like for the heated steering wheel button, for example, that could have just been a button on the steering wheel, but you can probably program that using the star button on the steering wheel anyway. So it's like, I'm really nitpicking now. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not a deal breaker in the slightest. And the ergonomics are pretty good for what they are, especially as everything's kind of curved towards me. You've got Apple CarPlay, you've got hands-free. It's just a nice place to sit, a nice place to put loads of miles on, nice long range. Yeah, what more can I say? Overall, I think this is one that you should check out and put some serious consideration into. So thank you so much to Hyundai for sending me out the car. Thank you guys for watching. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. It goes such a long way. I really appreciate all the support on all of my socials, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.